doing what we're doing every day, talking about off-season football topics. Once again, how quickly can the season get here so we can actually talk about the games again? Hell, it's just daytime drama between now and then, right? Isn't that what we'll be covering?
8 months, that's a long way away. I guess it's a little more than 8 months. So
yeah,
you got to buckle in and go for a ride. Probably going to be a lot to talk about this offseason.
It's already off to a hot start, that's for sure. Now you got this Darian Mensah deal. It's yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. All right, let's get into some recruiting stuff with you, Hale. They're on the road this week. So dead period next week. Starting when does it start? Monday.
Starts on Monday, yeah.
And how long does that last?
It will be through the month of February, and then it's over on March 2nd, I believe it is. That Monday, March 2nd.
But Ole Miss announced there will be no dead period this year.
Oh,
yeah. Ole Miss has a open contact period 12 months a year. LSU has the same.
Well, that's fair enough. I mean, you just do what you want to do until somebody actually imposes something that punishes you for getting caught. Doesn't matter if you get caught. It's what is the punishment if you get caught, if there is any punishment. Okay. Hey, during that dead period, that means what exactly does that mean? Hey, what I'm trying to get at here is like what is going on between, for the rest of this week. I know coaches are on the road and we'll get to the rescheduled junior day in a second, but does that mean that recruits can't come to campus? They just can't go out? What does that mean?
Yeah, it means both those things. So right now it's a contact period, and basically what a contact period means is coaches are allowed to go out on the road and visit with recruits, visit with 2027 recruits. They can go and meet with them at their house or go out to dinner or see them at the school, do whatever. They can hang out and talk to them and spend time talking face to face with them and their families. They can't. They're not supposed to. People do though, but they're not supposed to do that with younger prospects. There's some guidelines with that, but yeah, you can still go talk to the high school coaches and watch them play basketball or whatever, and do all that. And that's been going on for most of this month in January, and that'll end on this coming Saturday, and then another one of those periods will pick back up in the middle of April and go through the end of May. The spring evaluation period, what it's been known as for a while. And so, yeah, then there's a quiet period, which will be a one-day quiet period. And what a quiet period basically amounts to is recruits can go on college visits. So there'll be a one-day quiet period on Sunday. It's coming Sunday. And then starting next Monday is when the dead period hits. And when that dead period ends on March 2nd, it'll be a quiet period, meaning that recruits can go on college visits again.
Okay. So they're on the road this week. What do you know about where they are going, who they are seeing? Anything of significance?
Yeah, they're mostly going and seeing their priority 2027 recruits. There's been some offers going out to guys in that class and guys in the 2028 class as well. Probably some 2029s too, but it's primarily been for 2027. So like Nate Carson, the offensive lineman from Irmo, just posted something on Twitter right as I was coming on with you guys that he's meeting with Kendall Briles and Randy Clements right now. So stuff like that. Like the staff has been going out and seeing guys. Shane Beamer can go out on the road right now. That's another thing that I guess I should add is this contact period here in January is the only time during the entire calendar year that the head coaches from colleges are allowed to go out on the road. So Shane's been out, as I'm sure people have seen on the Big Spur, and if they're on Twitter, seen him in pictures with various recruits. Him and Clayton White hit up a bunch of different linebacker and defensive end prospects. Deion Barnes did too as well. So yeah, Shane's been busy jumping around from state to state and seeing some of their top guys they're going after in this 2027 class. So yeah, that's really been kind of the priority again is getting in front of some of these guys and and trying to get them in for whether it's one of these junior days or setting up an official visit for May or June, as those have started to happen as well. So it's been a pretty busy time these last few weeks as the portal's been closed.
Okay. Kendall Briles, you mentioned him meeting with the young man from Irmo. Are you aware of any prospects specifically, or even if it's just more of a generalized answer, that maybe prior to him taking the reins as the OC at South Carolina, maybe the door was cracked but not open, maybe the door wasn't open at all, but now that he's here, an offensive name or two or more who have in the Gamecock football program because of what is expected to be a rejuvenated offense?
Yeah, it's been primarily quarterbacks that he's been meeting with and going and offering. There have been a couple who've been offered since he got the job in December. I mean, the first one was Weston Nielsen, who's from Texas, and that was within days of Briles getting the job, and then I think a day or two after he got the Carolina offer, he committed to Arizona State. So obviously that commitment to Arizona State had been in the works for a little while, but Briles offered him at TCU and was recruiting him there. And I mean, Jerry Meyer III, who's a recent offer this month for Carolina, is committed 2027 quarterback, also from Texas. And so yeah, that's probably one example, as well as a guy named Ty Newton, who's another quarterback in that class from Texas, and then a 2029 quarterback from Texas who Briles has offered. So and there have been some receivers from Texas, maybe a running back or two from sort of the Midwest that have picked up Carolina offers within the last month or two since Briles has gotten the job. But yeah, we'll see how far along things are as we get closer to spring practice, when there will be a bunch more guys coming in to visit than as we get into the summer months with official visits and things like that.
Okay. Go ahead, Matt.
You know, I was curious. JC did on Coffee with JC this morning. He talked about all the veterans that have been coming in through the portal, especially at the offensive line position. I think 7 of 17 are like 4th, 5th, or 6th year guys. Have you seen that, I guess, impact what's going on at the high school level, knowing that many players are going to be having to exit the program, plus you're going to lose guys in the portal? I just wonder how you are now kind of wrapping your arms around the numbers that come in year to year, and if they're casting a wider net because of this portal class being so veteran.
Good question.
Yeah, that is a good question, and I'm sure there will be another run on portal guys, offensive linemen, next year as a result of what you're talking about, Smitty. But just off the top of my head, I can't think of a bunch of offensive linemen, or really any offensive linemen from the 2027 class who've been offered by South Carolina within the last few weeks. There have been a handful of guys that they've been recruiting for a while now, and Maxwell Hiller and Brady Hull and Junior Saunders, who are all scheduled for official visits to South Carolina. But like I said, they've been long-time targets for this staff. And I'm sure the offer board will continue to grow as we move along with more guys from that class getting offers, more offensive linemen. But I would have to think, just given the kind of general strategy that this staff has right now, moving forward, it's probably going to continue to be a thing for them, where they want to be able to supplement their position groups with veteran guys and help bridge the gap. And I guess that's not really a new thing. Like, they've been sort of doing it that way for the last few years as we've seen the portal and kind of its iteration that it's been in here for a little while now.
Hale, when it comes to the state of South Carolina, do you know who is in charge of what territories as far as the coaches on staff?
Yeah, I don't think that they've nailed that down yet, because there's obviously been some turnover on the staff this offseason. So
okay,
we'll see. Going back to what we're talking about with the contact period stuff and coaches being out on the road this month, the priority, like I said, has been getting in front of guys who they're like really targeting and things like that. So it's not so much like, hey, Mike Furry, you've got the upstate Greenville County, Spartanburg County, Cherokee County, places like that, where I'm pretty sure he's had as his areas for the state. He's more going out, from what I understand, and just going and seeing the guys that they really want to recruit at the receiver position, regardless of where they're located. So I would imagine, again, I don't know this for sure, I would imagine they're still figuring that stuff out, and some of that's to be determined, and it will probably be more I don't want to say relevant, but more of a focus when they get into the spring evaluation period, where it's like a month and a half of coaches being out on the road almost, where they're going to say, all right, Randy Clements, you've got, and I'm just throwing this out there, you've got the PD. So you go to Dillon, go to Myrtle Beach, go to all those places over there just to go see the coaches and introduce yourself. So I would guess that they're still kind of figuring that out.
Okay. All right. Now, so last weekend there was supposed to be a junior day. The weather got in the way of that. It is rescheduled. What's going on this upcoming weekend? Is the junior day this weekend, and who all's coming? What's the status of that?
Yes, so they've already had one scheduled for this coming Saturday. I don't know when exactly they set those dates, but they'd been in the works for a while. They were going to have one this past Sunday, the 25th. Then obviously the winter weather was an issue, and they had to cancel that. They decided to cancel that, I think Friday is when they made that final decision. And then, of course, this one coming up here this Saturday, which had been scheduled for a while, and now it looks like we might get some snow here in Columbia, so we'll have to keep an eye on that and how that might shake things up. This coming Sunday is almost sort of a makeup day, if you will, with a handful of guys who are scheduled for this past Sunday's visit, who are going to come in this coming Sunday. But there are also some who are going to, instead of coming in on Sunday, they're going to be at the event on Saturday, or they're planning to be there. So an awful lot of guys who are relevant 2027, 2028 prospects for Carolina.
Is this we were kind of talking about this a little earlier. Smitty and I were, and I guess Preston and Phil too. How do you when you look at the 27 class in the state of South Carolina, the prospects, how do you describe this class? It seems to me like maybe this is a better group or a higher abundance of highly touted skill position guys than maybe we've seen in recent years. How would you view that? Yeah,
that is definitely the case, in particular at the running back position, where there's been quite a drought and guys who are Carolina level targets, high SEC, ACC guys who have multiple offers from schools in those leagues. Trey Segarra from Burns, Aiden Gibson from Woodruff. There have been one or two running backs here recently that are kind of there. I mean, Jalen McGill, who's at North Carolina now, reclassified up from the 26 to the 25 class and enrolled early there. But I don't think he got on the field as a real early enrolled freshman. Then the Jarvis Green from Dutch Fork, who's at Clemson, who hadn't really done a whole lot, and I don't imagine he probably would have played more this past season if he hadn't gotten hurt. But yeah, I mean, just that position alone, it's much better than what we've seen over the years, and probably a reflection of why that position's been a struggle in recruiting for South Carolina here the last several years. So that's one. I mean, the defensive tackle group is pretty solid with Jaden Bryant from Irmo and Seth Tillman from South Point. Some good receivers. There's not really a quarterback I can't really think of off the top of my head who's a college level prospect. Maybe I'm forgetting one, but certainly not like on South Carolina's radar. So it's there have been some high level players over the years. Obviously, Julian Walker in this 2026 class from Dutch Fork, but as far as like the volume and depth of this class, I think it's going to end up being really, really good across the board in the state of South Carolina.
Yeah, I mean there's multiple wide receivers that we're monitoring in this state. You mentioned Segura at running back, Aiden Gibson, their other running back. Where do you think, just you don't have to go through it line by line, but where do you think South Carolina stands with a lot of these skill position guys, these running backs, these wide receivers?
Yeah, so Segura and Gibson and Jaden Kelly Murray, who's a receiver down in the Low Country. He transferred from Somerville to Oceanside a few weeks ago. So, I don't know. You'll have to ask him that. But he's got an official visit scheduled like those two backs too. So I would say it's safe to say that they're in really good spots with those guys. They've all three have been on campus a bunch over the years. So yeah, that's something to feel positive about with this class moving forward. Even though like arguably the top player in the state is Jaden Bryant, the defensive end from Irmo, who's committed to LSU. I would say either him or Trey Cigar are best overall, but not to get too far off topic. Yeah, those skill position guys are all guys Carolina is going to be very much in the mix for till the end. Definitely.
You got anything, Matt?
Yeah, I thought it was an interesting topic that JB brought up early in the show today, which was where South Carolina produces the most talent. Of course, we all landed at defensive back eventually, and then talked about where they were weak, and you even mentioned that there's no quarterback prospects. What do you when you talk to people, maybe even assistant coaches that do the recruiting themselves or other analysts that work in your field, what do they say about, say, South Carolina having to go outside its borders for certain positions? And how does that, I guess, land on a coach's, the coach's like priorities? Because you just might know, hey, I've been looking at high school football and we don't have enough linemen in this state, and we don't have enough quarterback play in this state, and you got to get out there. What's the reputation of the state, and how do the coaches, you think, handle that?
It's just, I mean, obviously it's a small state, and there's not going to be a ton of players over the course of any given year. And it's kind of hit or miss with what position is going to be really good from one year to the next. I mean, there was a time when defensive line, whether end or tackle, you could always count on there being multiple guys at those positions over the years. And there was kind of a drought for a little while, really up until these last couple of years, like with Julian Walker. And obviously he's not originally from South Carolina, has only been here for a few years, but whether it's with him or the guys like I mentioned earlier with Jaden Bryant and Seth Tillman, it's picked up a little bit more, but like defensive tackle, that's been a pretty significant drop off in terms of players from this state being available for Carolina, or guys who are worth going to getting if you're Carolina. So yeah, DB you've always been able to count on DB being an option, but just off the top of my head, I can't think of many or any DBs in this 2027 class that are Carolina level guys. So like I said, it's just kind of hit or miss where they're going to be and who they are and what position they play. So you can't really count on, hey, we're going to be able to pull in this type of player from the state each year, because it's just kind of a roll of the dice of what you're going to get from year to year.
Jaden Bryant is the top rated player in the state as it stands today, but he's committed to LSU. So, but would you say that South Carolina is still very much in the mix there at the end of the day?
Yeah, for sure. That is 100% certain that they're still in the mix. Yeah.